We are so welcome to Sue as well. So we're going to start seated. So we're going to do a little bit of work on our hips today, just easing into our hips. And we're going to use the tennis ball a little bit later for a little massage. But let's just ground and settle to start with. So find a comfortable seat. So sitting nice and straight, so drawing your spine up from the base of the spine up to the crown of the head, so trying to keep your chin parallel to the floor. And we can use our little trick with our thumb and first finger. If you make an L shape, so point the finger away, point the thumb, excuse me, point the thumb away, and then just place it under your chin, the thumb into the chest. That gives you a good indication of where your chin should be. And it's quite surprising because you think your chin is parallel and then you realize you're actually dropping it down. So it's quite a nice little way to get the chin and the chest in the right position. And then imagine I'm pulling you up by the crown of your head. You imagine there was a string there. And let's just place our hands on our thighs or on our knees, relax the shoulders and just close your eyes. And just take a few breaths here. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And as you breathe out, just let everything settle, releasing any tension. And as you breathe in, just imagine that you're sending that breath all the way down to your hips. It's where we hold quite a lot of tightness. Most of our tension tends to be in our shoulders and our neck and even our forehead. There's always a lot of tightness around our hips. So see if you can use your breath to settle that area. And I know that sounds weird because of course we can't breathe into our hips. We say weird things as yoga teachers. I was reading a report on the weird things yoga teachers say. But what we're trying to say is visualize that area. And it said that if you use those cues in your yoga teaching, when you talk about the actual areas of the body that are moving, rather than just saying, you know, directing you to move into like a warrior one or something like that, then as a student, you get much more out of it because you're thinking about those areas of the body that are moving, those muscles, the joints. So with this breath, just imagine you're sending it all the way down as you expand your ribs, your lungs, your diaphragm moves, your belly pops out, and you're sending that breath, that calming, relaxing breath all the way down to the hips. Using each exhalation to release and let go. Releasing your forehead, your shoulders, your hips, your arms and your hands. Just feeling the lower part of your body just sink down into the mat. One more deep breath in and out. Drop your chin towards your chest. Sink your shoulders down at the same time. Find that lovely stretch. The back and the side of the neck. And then blinking your eyes open and lift your head. Welcome to class. So cross your feet in the other direction now. So the direction that feels a little bit odd, and that will be a little bit of a challenge to our hips in itself. And then see if you can find your upright spine. And then take your right hand out to the side and just plant the hand onto the mat. So just reaching out a little bit, not overstretching. And then breathe in, reaching the left arm up. And as you breathe out, just add in a little side bend. Breathing in to release and breathing out. So as you reach over, well, really, as we do our breath in and we ease off, focus on lifting that left side. And then as you breathe out, you're extending to the right. So we've got a little bit of a lift going on before you do the reach. And you'll really feel the opening in the side body and starting to come down towards the hip. So just a few more on this side, just gently easing in to the side stretch, lifting up and then reaching. And then release the left hand down to the mat. Find your upright spine once more. Relax the shoulders. So left hand is just planted on the mat. Breathing in, right hand comes up. Think about that lift. And then reach over as you breathe out. Breathing in, lift and reach with the out breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Feels better already, doesn't it? Start doing this and you think, oh, lots of tight bits and uncomfortable. And then release the right hand down to the mat. So the right hand is going to reach as far away as you can. And you're keeping your head and your neck upright for a moment. Then take a breath in. And then as you breathe out, send the left ear towards your left shoulder and have the feeling that you're really reaching through the fingertips. So it's quite a stretch that's happening all the way down this arm into the neck and into the fingertips. Don't overdo it. Think about maybe 5 out of 10. So we're not forcing the ear towards the shoulder. We're just creating a nice feeling of stretch. So easing off as you breathe in and breathing out and stretching away. Maybe each time you do it, you can add a little bit more resistance. 6 out of 10 and 7 out of 10. We're not forcing anything. And then change sides. So the right hand is just resting, left hand reaches away. Sit up straight and tall, breathing out as you drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. Just feel that stretch coming from the ear, down the shoulder, down the arms to the fingertips. Breathing in as you ease off, breathing out, reaching away, so increasing the intensity each time. So this move actually stimulates the vagus nerve. And it says when you stimulate the vagus nerve, which is the nerve that runs all the way at the back of the body, it can put you into a relaxation or a state of relaxation as you're stretching. So it helps. So you think, well, why do I want to go into a state of relaxation when I'm about to do some work? But what they're trying to say is, sometimes you go into a stretch and think, oh God, that's a bit too much, I can't do it, and you tense up. But by stimulating the vagus nerve, it helps you to release into that stretch. That's the thinking. So come back upright, and then we're going to move into an all fours position. So coming onto the mat, all fours, so plant your hands into the mat, spread the fingers wide, hands are under shoulders, knees under hips. And we're just going to test our hip mobility before we do any real movement, and we'll test it again afterwards. So don't overdo it, just feel into your hips. So holding the tummy muscles in, gaze into the mat, take a breath in, and as you breathe out, float your right knee out to the side, just as high as it wants to come. Breathing in, bring it down towards the mat, breathe out, take it to the side. Do that once more. Take it out to the side. Breathing in, bring it towards the mat. Breathing out, send the sole of your foot up towards the ceiling. Breathing in, knee towards the mat. Breathing out, up towards the ceiling. Breathing in, draw that right knee over towards your left wrist. I can think of the word there. And breathing out, bringing it up. So just bringing in a little twist into the hip. Once more. And then place the knee down. So we're going to do the other side. So all fours, take a breath in, breathe out, float the knee out to the side. So we're opening the hip here. Breathing in, drawing the knee back, breathing out to the side. Breathing in. So this is an abduction of the hip muscles. And as you bring them back in, an abduction. And then draw the knee back in and take a breath out, send it up into the air. So we're starting to work into the muscles at the front now, the hip flexors. So breathing out as the foot, the sole of the foot goes up into the air. Once more. And then breathing in, draw the right knee towards your the left knee towards your right wrist. And then send it back up. So just bringing in a little gentle twist into the hip. Take it back up and then place it down. And then have a little wriggle. Do whatever feels good. Ease out any tension. And then we're going to come back to our all fours position. Take a breath in. You're going to step your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Breathe in, breathe out, release the right hand up to the ceiling. So reach away with that right hand and then breathe out, place it back down. Do 2 more of those. Reaching up and down. Once more. And down. And then come back to all fours. Take a breath in. Step the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Breathe in, reach the left arm up. Breathe out. Breathe in, reaching up and breathing out as you place the hand back on the mat. Once more. and out. And then come back to all fours. And then this time, slide your right foot out to the side. So as we slide the foot out, we want to get the sole of the foot to land on the mat. Trying to do this so you can see. Yeah, I'll do it this way. So I slide it out and the sole of the foot, you press the whole of the sole of the foot onto the mat. So take a breath in here, float the right hand up. And as you breathe out, bend the elbow and take the elbow down towards the left wrist. So just reaching the right hand up, starting to work into the outside of the hip here. Then reaching up and down. And then place your right hand down, come back to all fours, slide the left foot out. So try and get the sole of the foot onto the mat. You'll feel a stretch coming up the outside of the foot and up the outside of the leg. And then take a breath in, float the left arm up. Breathing out, hand to the mat. Oh, breathing in, float it up, bend the elbow and take the elbow down to the right wrist. Breathing in, reach, breathing out, elbow to the wrist. This encourages you to dip a little bit lower and work a bit more into the hip and into the back. And then take your hands back to the mat, take your knees back to the mat, and we're going to come to a seated position with your feet in front of you. And we need the tennis ball for this. So we're going to sit on the tennis balls. We're going to support our body with our hands behind us and just put the ball under the right buttock. So just try and get it into the right position. So you're sitting on the buttock and you're avoiding the big bony part. If you go too far forward, you'll catch the lower part of the pelvis. So we want to get into that fleshy bit. So this real bit into the buttock here. And this will be really good for you, Julie, with your sciatica. So just work into that ball, just as if you're massaging the buttock, and just move around, and you might find some hot spots, some bits that feel really tight. And if they're there, just hold on that spot for a moment. Best to hold on it, not to roll across it. You're releasing into the fascia here. So if there's a tight spot, you want to hold and release. If you roll over it, you actually just encourage it to get a little bit tighter. So just a nice massage of that buttock. It's getting into the piriformis muscle that comes up from the lower body and up into the upper body. It's the only muscle that connects the top and the bottom, top and bottom half of the body. Right, so come off it and then just put the ball on the mat, and then we're going to work into the TFL muscle. This is the muscle that runs down the side of the leg. So what we want to do is go onto the side and extend your right leg out on the mat and just use your hands to support your weight. So you're going to lift yourself up. So just so that you can roll over that ball. So your left foot is bent and just helping you to roll down the side. Now you might find some really tight, hot spaces and spots here. find some areas that are really quite tight. I've got quite a few. This is really good to release those areas. And it releases not just this part of your leg, but all the way up into the hip. So this particular one, I'll let you carry on doing it a minute, and I'll show you. If you find it hard to put your weight on the ball, then you can go to the wall and you can just roll up and down the wall with it. So that might feel easier. So it's a bit like Baloo in Jungle Book. You just roll up and down the ball. So just a couple more on that side. And then switch to the other side. So come back to that seated position and get it under the left buttock. And just sit on the ball. Really work into that buttock, looking for those tight spots. Oh, might be some growths going on. I can't tell with your muted sound. You're hearing mine. So as I find somewhere that's really tight and think, oh yes, that's a strong place to release. And then coming off the ball and working into the TFL muscle. So extend the left leg, bend the right, just use your hands to support you, or go to the wall. That's better for you. And roll up and down. And once you've done it a few times, actually feels quite good. You can overcome that initial, it's not pain. Hopefully it's not pain, just discomfort. You get into those tight areas. Okay, I think we've done enough. So come off the ball, come back to all fours. And let's just do a couple of cat-cows here. So taking a breath in. As you breathe out, drop the crown of the head, round the spine, come into your cat pose. Breathe in. And breathe out, tilt the pelvis, moving through the spine as you lead with your chin and your chest and gaze forward at the mat, sliding the shoulder blades together. Cow pose. So really think about the movement in the spine as you're doing this. Breathing in, breathing out, coming up into cat. Breathing in and breathing out. Cow pose. Breathing in, breathing out. Cat pose. Breathing in, breathing out. Cow pose. Breathing in, come back to all fours. Release the tops of your feet. If you're tucking your feet, take your knees wide and slide back into child's pose. Just rest in the forehead down as you reach the arms out along the mat. Just let everything settle here. And just notice if your hips and your legs feel a little bit more fired up, a bit more aware, a bit warmer maybe. And then bringing yourself up into an all fours position. Realign your knees, toes into the mat. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, lift your knees and your hips. and come into downward facing dog. And just have a little walk through the feet. Easing out. Easing into the hamstrings. And then release both heels towards the mat. Doesn't matter if they don't come, just take them as close as you can. Sending your hips up to the ceiling, your head's dropping through your arms. And then breathing in, shifting the weight forward and breathing out as you drop your knees to the mat. Taking a breath in, step the right foot to the outside of the right hand and lift your body up. So coming into this sort of lunge position. So right hand is on your right knee, taking a breath in, extend the left arm up and overhead. And as you breathe out, reaching over towards the right. Getting a lovely stretch down the side, the left side of the body, all the way into that hip. Breathe in, back upright. Breathe out, reaching towards the right. Breathing in and breathing out. Once more, breathing in, breathing out. And then breathing in, come back to center, release the left hand, bring your hands together at the heart center. So pressing the palms together, relax the shoulders, engage the tummy muscles, breathe in. And as you breathe out, twist in to the right, place the left elbow on the right thigh and draw your chest towards those hands as you look over your right shoulder. Nice twist. Breathing in, breathing out. Releasing from the twist, place your hands on the floor on either side of your right foot. And we're going to do some lizard stretches. So just moving back and forth, easing into the hip and the knee. So don't worry if your knee goes forward of the ankle as you go forward here. This is the only time when we really do this because we're supporting our weight with our hands. So it's not a problem, and actually it's really good for the ankle mobility as well. So just forward and back, getting into the hip. And if you want to add a little bit more to it, you can take your hands to the inside of the foot. And as you go forward, maybe you can come down onto your elbows. And then reaching back, releasing the hands, going forward, releasing onto the elbows. It really gets into the hip. So, and if that's not achievable, but you're almost there, put the block in front of you and release the hands onto the block. So I'm on my lower arms, but just lifted a couple of inches with the block. And that feels good too. So do which version is good for you. And then bring yourself back up to an upright position. And then just start to walk your right foot forward. So just inching those toes. You might want to put your hands on either side of the foot. Just inching the toes forward as if you're trying to come into a split. Hanumanasana pose, half monkey god pose. Breathe in. And then breathe out. and slide that foot all the way back. Oh, there's one more thing I was going to do with that. Slide the foot all the way back out again. Come into that splits. And then I want you to point your toes away. So this is called a plantar flexion. And when you do this, it sends the stretch at the front of the leg. It's called the anterior tibialis. And as you draw the toes up to the ceiling, so we're pulling the toes up, you can feel the stretch and changes into the back of the leg. And it actually gets up as far as the hip. You can feel it coming up the back of the leg, the back of the hamstring, and up into the thigh. So just point and flex a few times. And then slide the foot back. Help it back into all fours position. So from your all fours position, take a breath in. As you breathe out, lift your knees and your hips. Downward facing dog. Have another little walk if that feels good. Just a few breaths in down dog. Ready to go on the other side. So breathing in, breathing out. Drop the knees to the mat. Breathe in. Step the left foot forward to the outside of the left hand. Breathing out. Bring yourself up into this kneeling sort of lunge position. Take a breath in. So left hand is resting on the left thigh. Right hand floats up. As you breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, side bend over to the left. Find that stretch all the way down into the hip. Breathing in, reaching up, breathing out, reaching to the left. Once more, breathing and reaching over to the left. And then reach the hands back up to this, the right hand to the ceiling, and then release it. And bring your hands together to the heart center. So pressing the palms together, take a breath in, twist into the left, keeping the thumb in the center of the chest, drop the right elbow to the left thigh, twisting, looking over your left shoulder. Just holding here for a few breaths. Brilliant. And then releasing back to center. Release the hands back to the mat. So we're going to come into our lizard move. So moving forwards and back. So you're supporting the weight of your body with your hands. The palms are pressing into the mat. You're moving forward and back, getting a lovely ankle stretch at the same time. That'll help us when we come to do a deep squat in a few minutes. So getting some flexibility into the ankles. Forwards and back. And then when you bring yourself back upright, you can decide, do you want to come down onto your lower arms? Remembering you've got the option with the block, and it might feel quite different on this side to the other. If this left hip is less tight than the right, then you might find coming down to these lower arms quite accessible. Just easing out a bit, releasing the arms, and then coming down. Nice stretch. And then lifting your hands up once more, take the hands to the either side of the foot and just walk that left foot out in front. So just inching the toes away and coming into a half monkey god, half splits, Hanumanasana. And then point the toes away, come into that plantar flexion. Do this with your breath, breathing out as you point away, and then breathe in and release, and breathe out and point the toes up to the ceiling. So do that a few times, just getting into the muscle at the front of the leg, anterior tibialis, and the getting all the way back to the hip muscles as you draw the toes up. And then slide the foot back. Come back to all fours. Take a breath in. Lift your knees and your hips, come to downward facing dog. Take a breath here. And then walk your feet all the way back to your hands. And come to a forward fold. Just dropping the head down towards the mat. In Uttanasana. And then breathing in as you slide your hands up to your shins, half forward fold. Extend the top of the head out in front of you. Try and find that flat back. Breathing out, hands back to the mat. And then we're going to walk our hands all the way around to the long side of the mat and take our feet really wide. So walk the feet out as wide as they'll go. So the feet are parallel to the short sides of the mat. And the wider you go, the easier it is to get down into this squat. It's called Skandasana. So we're going to take a breath in. So keeping this nice flat back. As you breathe out, walk your hands all the way to the right side of the mat. Bend the right knee and sit the hips down towards your right heel. So the left foot will lift away from the mat and the toes point up to the ceiling. So your right heel might well be off the mat. If you can keep the heel down, that's really good ankle mobility. Mine doesn't come to the mat. Just hold in this side stretch. Skandasana. And then release that left foot, tilting forward slightly as you press into the mat. Lift yourself up. Walk your hands all the way to the left. So walking the hands to the left foot, starting to sit down towards the left heel, and the right toes come up to the ceiling. So you're sitting, releasing your hips down towards the left foot. Brilliant. You should be feeling that all the way in this hamstring area and inner groin area of the extended leg. And it's a really good ankle stretch. And then breathing in, bring yourself back up, walk back to center. And then heel toe your feet together, just enough to the point where you know you can come down to Malasana, deep squat, and sit your hips down through your feet, between your feet. So use your arms to hold those knees out. So you're supporting your body by pressing the top part of your arms into the inner knees, and then your hands can come together and you should be able to lift your chest. Just sitting in Malasana. Taking a breath, resisting the temptation to just sit back. So just holding this pose, really good for the hips, maybe even a little sideways rock. And then gently sit yourself down on the mat. Well done. So let's just release our legs out along the mat, coming into Dandasana. Sitting up straight and tall. Taking a breath in here. Float your hands up alongside your ears. Find that lovely stretch for the upper body. And as you breathe out, just start to lean forward. So you're hinging at the hips. We're not bending through the spine. We're not rounding the back. Breathing in, come back up. Breathing out. Reaching, keeping that length, keeping that straight spine. It's all about the hips here. Breathing in, back up. Try it once more. And then when you feel you've come as far forward as you can, maybe your bottom ribs are coming towards your thighs, you can drop your hands round your spine and drop your nose towards your knee. Just take a breath. And then breathing in and bring yourself back up. So we want to tuck our feet underneath us, come back to an all fours position. We're going to do that little test of our hip mobility once more and see how it feels. So gazes to the mat, toes are into the mat, take a breath in. As you breathe out, send the right knee out to the side. Breathing in, drawing the knee towards the left knee, towards the mat, and then floating it out to the side. Oh, well, does it feel better? Because mine definitely feels a lot better. It feels like it's flying out to the side. Much easier. And then the next time you bring it down, take a breath in, breathe out, send the foot up to the ceiling. How good does that feel? Breathing in, drawing the knee towards the other knee, and then breathing out, extending it up. Just a few times. And then lastly, the little twist. So what did I do? Yeah, so foot goes up to the ceiling and then draw it down towards the left side. So just adding in that little twist from the extension. A few times. I think the hips feel much more fluid. Put your knee down, should feel much more flexible, and it's from moving the hip, getting that synovial fluid to move through the joints, and it just feels so much better. So let's do the other side. So from all fours, take a breath in, breathe out, float the knee out to the side. Breathing in, drawing it to the left, the right knee. Breathing out, left knee out to the side. Breathing in, left knee towards the right knee, or towards the mat. Just a couple of side moves. And then bringing it back in, and as you breathe out, send the foot up to the ceiling, keeping the knee bent. Drawing that back in. Up and down. And then sending it. Yeah, we went out to the side and then draw the knee towards the right knee. So just adding in a little bit of a twist. Just do what feels good, testing out the mobility of that hip. And then come back to all fours. Take your knees wide, toes together, and sink back into child's. Just reaching the hands forward. And take a few breaths here. Noticing how the hips are feeling. Maybe there's some tingling. Maybe it's just warmth around the hips. And then breathing in, come back up to all fours and bring your knees through so that you can come to a semi-supine position, lying on the mat, and have your knees pointing up to the ceiling, so legs are bent. Take your hands out to the side, palms facing down. So take a breath in and lift your hips and place them towards the right side of your mat. And as you breathe out, drop your knees both together over to the left. So you're rolling over onto the left hip, and you just bring in a nice twist into the lower spine and towards the hips. And you might want to gaze to your right hand. Take a breath. And then breathing your head back to center, your knees back to center. Lift your hips and place your hips back in the center of the mat. Just take a moment here. And then breathing in, lifting the hips, sending them over to the left side of the mat. And as you breathe out, drop the knees to the right. So keeping the knees together, just dropping both legs over to the right. Gaze into the left if that feels good. And that lovely twist. Oh, and a yawn. And then breathing in, bring your head back to center, lifting your knees and bringing your hips back to center. And then just draw the knees up and over the chest. Have a little roll, little massage of the lower back. Do what feels good. Side to side, maybe some circular movements. Maybe getting some clicks. And then slide your feet out along the mat. We're going to come into Shavasana. So if you want to grab some layers or a blanket, now is the time. Just laying out on the mat. Allowing the body to rest. All your work is done. Lying out on the mat. Finding your Shavasana. Keeping your feet slightly wider than hip distance apart. Let your toes drop out to the side. With your hands alongside the body in a gentle V with the palms facing up. Just allowing your body to release down into the mat with each exhalation. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Letting go of all tension. Starting from the top of your head, your forehead, your face, relaxing your jaw, your tongue, the sides of your neck, over your shoulders. Just let your shoulders melt down into the mat. Releasing all the way down your arms, past your elbows, to your wrists, your hands, your fingers. Just letting your arms feel heavy and relaxed. Releasing them down into the mat. Then feeling the back body, the back of the head, working your way down your spine, one vertebra at a time. Allowing it to let go and release into the mat. Until you reach your hips. Allow your hips to release. They've worked hard today. Letting them drop open. Allowing the relaxation to flow down your legs. Past your knees. Your ankles, your feet, and your toes. Just letting your legs feel heavy. Letting them sink into the mat. Let your whole body relax. With each out breath, just allow it to rest into the mat. And as you lie there in your own space for a few moments, I'm going to read you a little poem. It's called Walk Slowly by Dana Folds. It only takes a reminder to breathe. Excuse me. A moment to be still. And just like that, something in me settles, softens, makes space for imperfection. The harsh voice of judgment drops to a whisper, and I remember again that life isn't a relay race, that we will all cross the finish line, that waking up to life is what we were born for. As many times as I forget, catch myself charging forward without even knowing where I'm going, that many times I can make the choice to stop, to breathe and be, and walk slowly into the mystery. Start to bring some movement back into your body now. Wiggling your fingers and your toes. And rotating your wrists and your ankles. And with your next inhalation, float your hands up and overhead and do a full body stretch. Pointing from your fingertips to your toes. And as you breathe out, bend your elbows, let your arms rest on the floor behind you. Breathing in, bending your knees. Plant your feet on the floor. And breathe out and roll over onto your right hand side. Just hug your knees a little closer to your chest. Give yourself a touch. And then when you're ready, bring yourself up to a seated position. Well done. I hope you're all feeling okay. So we'll finish with our 3 breaths together. So sitting up straight and tall, fingertips to the mat. Take a breath in, reach up and overhead. Breathing out, hands to the heart center. Breathing in. Breathing out. Once more, breathing in. Breathing out. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.